When I was in undergraduate engineering, I did a course where I was so convinced that I knew that course inside out that I ran a crash course for my friends the night before the exam. My friends went on to get A's, and I went on to get 14 out of 100. When I tell that story to my students, there is nowhere for me to hide. That is the true me. It is me at my worst. And I think that is why my students make a connection to me. Then they feel comfortable to come and say, Miss, here are my challenges. Miss, here's what my aspiration is. Can you help me to get there? Because despite where we fall, we can pick ourselves up and we can use those failures as stepping stones to success.
Becoming an educator has been a journey of deep introspection and change for Marcia Nathai-Balkissoon. It informs everything about how she teaches and interacts with her students.
I grew up in Pool Village near Rio Claro, and it was a very rural setting, so that the people didn't really go to school at a tertiary level. I never felt that I could aspire to be a lecturer. I used to feel a distance between me and my lecturer, and I felt that I should not aspire to touch those people. I don't want to be that kind of lecturer. Did we talk about rodents? Everybody know what a rodent is?
Yes. When I think about Miss Balkissoon, I think about her as like a mother figure. She's the kind of lecturer that you don't normally find in the University of the West Indies. She is one that uses a kind of approach that makes you feel welcome. She's one that truly cares about her students. That characteristic or personality trait that she embodies is a direct reflection on our grades.
One challenge that I have in class is that there may be disengaged students. And a disengaged student has an attitude that's like a virus. If you are disgruntled, it can spread to others. I wanted to discover something about that student that helps me to break through that barrier between them and me.
Over the years, Marcia has eagerly embraced every opportunity to hone her teaching skills.
UWI has facilitated my function as a teacher in several ways. The biggest one that stands out to me is the work of the CETL, the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And how they've done that for me is they've run the CUTL course, the Certificate in University Teaching and Learning. I did that 2 years ago. And I was so excited about doing CUTL. CETL has also done several workshops. So over the past 3 years, I've been to about maybe 15 workshops, trying to build my ability in terms of blended learning and the use of technology in classrooms. I also use technology to help to grow skills in my students. So employability skills are pulled out of students by giving them new projects. They don't get the traditional projects from me. They have to make their own videos. They have to post their own blog articles. They get to do a risk assessment in a company somewhere, but they must come and write about it in a blog article and post what their recommendations are in order to raise the standard in the company.
Her classes are very real-world situations, and I would have used those situations to get me where I am. 10 years later, I'm still seeing the importance of it.
There was so much correlation, so much examples that she gave you that it made it so much easier to just understand everything that was going on in the course.
At the end of the day, my students have learned the content, but they've also developed skills in the use of ICT that they can take out into the working world and help them to find a job faster than somebody else they're competing with.
A three-word motto guides my teaching philosophy: connect, inquire, and reinforce. I also find it essential to kindle a spirit of inquiry and believe that it requires the teacher himself or herself to be fiercely inquisitive. I'm also guided by the fact that I was once there where my students may be now. I really consider my students to be co-travelers. It's a joint venture, it's a partnership really. Everybody should stand equally in this exciting journey.
I found that kind of student interaction, that kind of instant response, it was very convenient, very admirable, and I'm surprised that he would have gone all this length for us students, and he kind of made us feel special.
My father is the one who really influenced me. He always used to tell me that it's good to be educated, but the education should not come in the way of your learning, because education, the formal education that is, usually comes to an end with you getting a degree, but it's the learning that goes on for your entire lifetime, because it's in the nature of things to change. You need to be open, you need to be willing, you need to be receptive, and you need to retain that element of humility. Trinidad and Tobago in general and the University of the West Indies, they have both welcomed me with open arms, and I'm very thankful for the academic freedom that I've enjoyed here, the encouragement that I've gotten for my research work, the recognition that has been given to me for teaching innovations, and plenty of opportunity to develop yourself professionally through CETL workshops and all of those things. They have given me constructive direction and momentum, I would say.
After a lecture, if you didn't quite grasp a concept, you go online and you can listen to him and see him do it over and over and over again until you got it.
As a teacher, it's important for me to create and maintain sustaining connections with the students. The teacher-taught connection should be lively and vibrant. The teaching material, the assessment scheme and the mode of delivery, they also need to be interconnected. Also, the teaching material and content should have a ready connection with the real world of work, because once the students pass out, they need to find value in what they learned on campus and should be able to apply and deploy the learning that they got here meaningfully in their working lives.
Dr. Bhatnagar would take difficult theories and teach them in simple ways, and in my organization most persons are not financially inclined, so they will give me more of their financial projects to do. So I am now able to take his teaching style and explain it to persons who may not understand finance.
I'm reminded of this person. He was laboring hard. He was trying to actually move a piece of rock with two bare hands, and the rock wouldn't budge an inch. And then somebody said, "Gentlemen, why don't you use this big iron rod? Put it at the bottom of the rock and apply force from the other end and see if it makes a difference." And he promptly followed the advice, and he was able to lift the rock from position A to position B. What he did was, when he was using his own bare hands, he was using a personal force. When we use personal funds in a company, what do we call that? Equity, isn't it? So we want to start a company, so we decide to contribute some money, and then we realize, well, okay, this is not enough. We are going to have to need some more. So we start looking outside for what? External assistance or an external force, isn't it? Which is going to get the ball rolling. Isn't that correct? So that external force, ladies and gentlemen, is leverage. We all are sum totals of our experiences, and if those experiences and knowledge are used judiciously, it would make a telling impact on the reinforcement and cementing student learning, and give them a quality learning experience.
I've really seen where I want to be in the future because of a teacher who actually explains to you where you can go with your degree and with your minor. Even if finance wasn't my main focus at first, it became something that I saw myself doing in the future.
Anybody wants to give it a shot today? Right, good.
The talk on campus is that Dr. Chris Maharaj has flipped.
There are a lot of studies that show the knowledge retention. If I lecture to somebody, the knowledge retention that that person gets is the least, and I would learn the most lecturing to them. So I have flipped the classroom, and I spend the least time talking in the classroom.
It was kind of a culture shock at first, because you're not accustomed to this type of teaching and whatnot. But in a way, you actually have to be interactive in and out of the class. That way you understand the material properly.
Screencasts of lectures are made available online in advance of classes, so students can digest the content and choose if they wish to present to their peers.
The method that he teaches to be able to present in the screencast helps us in job interviews, as well as for our final year project, because we have to do 2 presentations for final year.
Let's look at the fine print now with regards to the natural materials, and here we have a range of wood types, and we see woods loading parallel to the grain having a higher strength than woods that are loaded perpendicular to the grain.
Another thing about the screencast is really helpful at the ending of the semester as well, because after learning all that content from during the semester and it's like getting back, going through the class again at the end of right before exam is really helpful.
So there are multiple benefits to having the flipped classroom method. I would say that the one disadvantage is that there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, much more than if you go to lecture to the students on a weekly basis or twice weekly. The benefits include the ability to foster teamwork. Nobody works in isolation as a professional, and you must be able to interact with others. You must be able to socialize. That's an extremely important element in the workplace now, and flipping this classroom allows that. So my philosophy is based on the student. I have to be that way because this is my job, and most importantly it's based on the student being happy. So I need to find ways of them being happy in the classroom. And I have to compete with all these other technological devices, the phones, the tablets, and I don't want to tell them in the classroom that you cannot use your phone or you cannot use your tablet. They need to be happy in the classroom, and if that's one of the ways they can be happy, that's fine. I need to make my instruction or my delivery that much better than what they have in front of them.
And for Dr. Maharaj, that happiness extends beyond the lecture room.
He has what he calls mentorship meetings, right? And the thing about this is a semester when I came at him for advising and my performance is really low. So he talked with me and kind of felt out what I was doing and helped me to realize where I was spending my time, where I could improve on spending my time for academics. And I got an improvement afterwards.
There are a lot of issues that the student presently faces at this juncture in time, and I keep having to go back to see that it's not just a course that I am teaching. I have to realize that the student is trying to manage so many other things as well. Studies is just one extremely small part of a big picture that makes up the student, and that's why part of my time is also trying to motivate them as well. I want my students to be happy, and I am happy as well, and I think it's that UWI gives you this academic freedom to experiment, to try to be better. I couldn't ask for a better department, I couldn't ask for a better university.
He has a unique personality. He's very open to students' opinions. Very, very open. Even if they're confused or they're saying something wrong, he waits for them so that is done a class discussion and getting a solution. And that's one of the things about his personality that helps in the classroom.
I need to be more or less the facilitator in the classroom, not the traditional lecturer.